Welcome to Crash and Burn, the series where we take Formula 1 careers that started with promise, soared for a while and then face planted into the barriers of reality. Today's subject, Otmar Szafnauer. The man who dragged a cash-strapped Indian underdog into the top 4 and then somehow managed to turn the most expensive French midfield project into a revolving door of excuses. From a Romanian village with no running water to the Formula 1 pit wall, and then right back to ragebaiting teamLH in podcast and junior formula. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. Otmar Szafnauer was born in 1964 in a tiny village in western Romania called Semlac. No running water, 2 cars in the whole place, a classic Eastern Bloc vibe. When he was 7, the family escaped communist Romania and he landed in Detroit. Yes, Detroit, the Motor City. The place where American car dreams go to either get built or slowly rust. Young Otmar did the smart thing. Engineering degree, then a master's degree in business and finance. In 1986 he joined Ford as a programs manager. On the side he tried racing himself in Formula Ford. The usual dreamer path that ended the way most amateur racing careers end, with a big crash and a sudden interest in the management side of things. Smart move by Otmar. The best team principals failed at racing. His big break came through Adrian Renard. In 1998, Otmar became operations director at the brand new British-American racing team, the team we know as BAR. You know, the team that promised the world and then delivered Jacques Villeneuve having an existential crisis and made him lose his hair. Then Honda came calling. Otmar rose to vice president of Honda Racing Developments as the Japanese manufacturer took over BAR. He was right there for the messy Honda years, right up until Honda did what manufacturers do best, panic and pull the plug at the end of 2008. Left without a team, Otmar did what any sensible engineer would do. He founded a company that made an official F1 timing app for the iPhone. Soft power. Because when the real sport kicks you out, you can still sell people data about the sport. But the paddock wasn't done with him yet. October 2009, Force India. A team that looked like it had been assembled from spare parts and Vijay Mallya's champagne budget. Otmar joined as Chief Operating Officer and somehow it worked. Under his watch, the team climbed 7th, 6th and then 5th in 2015. And then they entered the miracle years. They finished 4th in the Constructors' Championship in both 2016 and 2017 on a budget that made Haas look extravagant. He locked in the Mercedes power unit deal that kept them competitive for years. He helped to keep the team's light on when the team was days away from complete collapse in 2018. When Lawrence Stroll's consortium rode in and saved the place, Otmar stayed. Racing Point was born. And in 2020, Sergio Perez wins the Sakir Grand Prix. 4th in the championship again. Pink Mercedes cosplay and all. This was Otmar's peak. The quiet American who could get more out of less than almost anyone in the pit lane. Then the team became Aston Martin. Green paint. Big ambitions. And an even bigger ego in the ownership suite. The problem at Aston Martin was that his core responsibilities were reduced because Lawrence Stroll brought in a proper CEO. Szafnauer wanted the team run only by himself, and he didn't like the 2 popes situation. By January 2022, Otmar was gone. Enter Alpine. February 2022. The French manufacturer, desperate for someone who actually knew how to run a midfield team without setting fire to the budget, hired Otmar as team principal. The grand plan? Fight for the championship within 100 races. They finished 4th in 2022. Respectable. Promising even. Then 2023 happened. The car was average. The internal politics were not. We also had a big driver drama. Fernando Alonso decided to bounce. And when Alpine announced Oscar Piastri, the Australian posted that legendary tweet. Otmar said he didn't know Piastri could walk away like that. The team had misinformed him. Otmar suffered the usual Alpine special of we have the resources of a manufacturer and the organisation of a student project. This is exactly how we know Alpine. But maybe Otmar could have known this up front. After the Belgian Grand Prix in July 2023, less than 18 months into the job, Otmar was out. As always in these cases, it was a mutual agreement. Well, that's what they call it anyway. The classic Formula 1 phrase that means we're done with you and you're done with us. Alain Permane walked out the door with him. He's the team principal of Racing Bulls now. The house cleaning was thorough at Alpine, and it didn't stop for a while. So where is Otmar Szafnauer in 2026? He's not on the pit wall. He's on a podcast, High Performance Racing, along Jake Humphrey and Rob Smithly. The three of them sit around analysing the current grid, while Otmar occasionally reminds everyone how much better things were when the team had no money and somehow still scored points. He has also taken the CEO and managing partner role at Van Amersfoort Racing, the Dutch junior team that once helped create Max Verstappen. Formula 2 and Formula 3, pretty respectable. But it's not the same as standing on the Formula 1 pit wall with a radio in your ear and a championship fight on the line. He's still talking about a potential 12th Formula 1 team, with American money, with manufacturer interest. The usual whispers. Whether it ever becomes more than a podcast talking point remains to be seen. Otmar Szafnauer's career is the classic crash and burn arc. Brilliant at maximising limited resources, excellent at keeping a chaotic midfield team pointing in the right direction. But when the stakes got higher with bigger budgets and bigger egos and some manufacturer politics, the same skills that made him a hero at Force India starting to look like limitations. He rose higher than almost any American ever has in modern Formula 1 management. He delivered results that still look impressive on paper. And then the sport, as it always does, moved on. From a village with no running water, to the top of the midfield, to the podcast circuit and junior formula. Not a tragedy, not a disaster, just the slow, inevitable gravity of Formula 1. And I can't even blame him for leaving that French messy plate of ratatouille at Alpine. The biggest crook of them all is running that team now, and they are still nowhere. Perhaps at Aston Martin, he should have put his ego aside and should have allowed the help of a CEO running all the sponsor errands. But he was used to doing it all by himself, when Force India was just a tiny speck of a team. Maybe he knew he couldn't get used to that. And of course, now that Otmar is safely on the podcast circuit, he's free to say the quiet parts out loud, as all these ex-F1 people seem to do. Recently, he decided to take a swing at Lewis Hamilton's fashion choices. According to Otmar, Lewis deliberately times his paddock arrivals so the photographers are already waiting, just so he can parade around in what Otmar calls ridiculous clothing. He even contrasted it with Max Verstappen, who apparently shows up early and just gets on with the job. Hamilton fans, as you can imagine, took this about as well as you'd expect. Look, I love a bit of Hamilton slander as much as anyone, and he praised Max Verstappen. However, in this case, someone brought the receipts. Kim Illman, the photographer, who actually stands at the paddock gates every weekend, politely destroyed the claim. It turns out Lewis has only worn the flashy outfits on a handful of days this year, and half the time he's actively trying to dodge the cameras. So Otmar went from quiet American who maximized limited resources to the guy on the podcast roasting a 7-time world champion's wardrobe. Look guys, this may be not the worst crash and burn we've ever seen, but it's definitely a vibe. This has been Crash and Burn. If you enjoyed watching another Formula 1 career slowly melt into the barriers, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments who you want to see next on the chopping block. See you next time. Take care now. Doei doei.